I think everyone has asked themselves how they would fare against the natural world when stripped from all modern comfort and convenience. This natural curiosity has led to the creation of a variety of different survival shows: Survivor, Survivor Man, Dual Survival, Man vs. Wild, Man Woman Wild. These survival programs will often show their audience what it takes to succeed in the wilderness, but rarely do they portray how easy it is to fail, something that I think the award-winning television series Alone happens to excel at. Alone is a survival competition that has run for 7 continuous seasons. It features 10 contestants from a variety of different backgrounds who are thrown in the wilderness completely alone with 10 items of their choice. The goal of the show is to survive longer than any other contestant. Once you are the last remaining survivalist, you will be awarded a large cash prize up to $1 million. There are no challenges, there are no gimmicks, and you truly are alone. The locations are some of the most inhospitable environments the planet has to offer. From the desolate plains of Mongolia, the treacherous mountains of Patagonia, the rainy forests of Vancouver Island, to the frozen tundras of the Arctic Circle. And you can slowly see the toll it takes on even the most prepared contestants. Many struggle with the basic necessities of survival: food, water, shelter, and fire. However, those physical needs pale in comparison to the necessity of managing your own mind.
It's a different animal being out here and knowing you have to do this all by yourself. I mean, because when they say alone, you're really alone.
Of all the contestants who have ever been on Alone, 38% of which have tapped due to mental fatigue or loneliness. A lot of that can be attributed to the fact that contestants are expected to film their adventures without a production crew. Contestants are also prohibited from having any contact with their loved ones or any of the other competitors. It is easy for the contestants to get false notions on how they are faring in the competition, while others simply cannot stand missing out on major life events, like the birth of their child or the death of a loved one.
But when you're out here by yourself, you think about family and how much they mean to you. And the weight, gravity on your chest is just so strong.
Season 3's winner of Alone, Zachary Fowler, lost over 70 pounds during his 87-day stay in the Patagonian wilderness. It is the show's indefinite time limit that wears on the contestants the most, as the nature of the competition easily toys with the competitors' mental capability to withstand the torture of actual survival. And torture is an accurate word, as starvation is easily the most present ailment that these contestants face.
Grubs and roots for dinner. I can't imagine it's more than a couple calories. It tastes like carrots. I'm so hungry. I don't know how long I can keep going like this.
Something that shocked me when watching this show was the difference between the adjective and the verb of starving. Seeing the physical consequences of simply not eating for weeks at a time is something that I believe is lost with most survival shows. Rarely in this show do you ever see a successful method of food production, which highlights to the audience how ubiquitous failure actually is in the wilderness. However, let's try not to discredit the capabilities of these contestants, as their skill sets can vary greatly. Some competitors, like Desmond White in Season 2, tapped out after seeing bear scat on the ground and only lasted a measly 7 hours.
It's like I had all these ideas in my head about what I wanted to do, but everything just went out the window. It's like I don't know anything right now. It's like I've never been out here in the woods.
Though there were also contestants like Season 7's winner Roland Welker, who shot a 650-pound muskox with his bow and proceeded to stab the beast to death with his hunting knife.
You ain't gonna believe this. I just stabbed this muskox to death.
Roland successfully lived off that muskox for another 66 days by consuming every edible piece of the animal, including its half-digested stomach contents. What a fucking savage. I think it's easy to start to chip away at the expertise of the contestants, as you can even see the most skilled survivalists lose ferro rods or burn down their shelters. However, I would argue the opposite. It's not that these contestants are ill-equipped for the contest, rather I find that the environment they are placed in is just that inhospitable.
It's hard, dude, it's hard. I've been in some hard places. I've been in combat. I work in some of the worst places in the world. I'll not spend another night in there.
The production side of the show also highlights the brutal nature of this competition as well. Sean Witt, co-president of Left Field Media and producer of Alone, stated in an interview, "We don't ever want to be in a situation where there's a headline that says somebody died or almost died on our show. However, polling a contestant is a really tough decision to make, and honestly, they're not made without the consultations of doctors and attorneys, because we don't ever want to be in a position of making a bad decision. This means that the production crew will only poll a contestant out if they've reached a physical limit where the threat of death is imminent, and not a moment before. This tracks with the run of the show, as many contestants will argue they are still viable for the competition, like Season 3's contestant Dave Nasia, who survived 73 days and was medically polled after reaching a BMI of 16.1. You can see what lengths he was willing to go to in order to stay in the competition.
So his body is going to starvation, so he should go up.
No. I've got food. I can continue to eat.
You're risking organ failure. And so we need to pull you.
No!
It's dangerous for you to stay here.
I've got food. I can eat. I got food.
You're too far gone.
I have food.
We're taking you to the hospital.
Okay.
Season 7's contestant Callie Russell was medically evacuated after surviving 89 days in the Arctic Circle due to frostbitten toes. The production crew was made aware of the injury during a medical visit to her shelter site. After examining the severity of the frostbite, the medical team allowed her to continue in the competition.
I could be the last one standing out here. Staying to the end could totally change my life. Like, this isn't a game. This is the real deal. This is my body and this is my life.
It was only after a follow-up visit days later did the medical team realize the frostbite was beginning to spread through both feet, and without immediate medical intervention, she could lose an entire toe or worse.
So we brought the doctor out,
Yep.
and the doctor confirmed that there was spreading frostbite in your right big toe. The doctor also noticed that there was a little bit of new frostbite in your left big toe. You're malnourished, and that makes recovery even more difficult. What we're trying to avoid is, as you know, serious, devastating, and potentially irreversible damage
Yeah.
to your frostbitten feet. And so as a result, I'm gonna have to extract you from the field for medical reasons.
Callie was unfortunately the second runner-up in the competition, and ultimately had sections of both feet surgically removed due to her injuries sustained on the show. The lack of a production crew also brings its own unique challenges to the competitors, as all their actions have to be filmed by themselves. Season 6 winner Jordan Jonas actually missed an opportunity to take down an 800-pound moose because the camera equipment interfered with his shot.
Because I know that
I
happens.
missed the first moose because there was a different moose that I had shot at that I totally missed, but big, giant dinosaur of a moose. It was so cool to see. I grabbed my bow and arrow and my camera and ran out there, set the camera up, took my shot, and I was like, oh, I didn't grab my quiver. And so my first shot, I misjudged the distance and dropped the arrow between his legs. I was like, oh no, I only grabbed one arrow because I grabbed my stupid camera.
Oh.
Additionally, the camera equipment provided weighs upwards of 60 pounds and has to remain with the contestants at all times, meaning that many of the competitors have to drag over 100 pounds of gear towards their shelter site, sometimes miles away from their starting location. In a competition where every calorie counts, lugging around crates of camera equipment is absolutely detrimental towards their long-term survival. Sean Witt stated in an interview that, "I feel like it's integral to the show that contestants film everything themselves. We never wanted to do anything else," which brings its own element of authenticity towards the show, knowing that there isn't a production crew eating craft services only a few feet away from a starving man. Alone strikes a good balance between the dangers of having an authentic show and the inherent need to guarantee the safety of its contestants. Audience members can often feel removed from a survival show if they can see the strings that prop up the production, which unfortunately changes the context of these survival programs. Bear Grylls' show Man vs. Wild is more of an educational series than a survival program, as many of the events are staged for content. Though Les Stroud's show Survivor Man doesn't have a production crew, he does limit his adventures to less than 10 days. Cody London and Joe Teddy's series Dual Survival has an ever-present production crew and are given the companionship that accompanies them. Unfortunately, this inauthenticity bleeds through the screen and absolutely changes the audience's perspective on survival. However, Alone removes a lot of those caveats because their show revolves around contestants reaching their limits. The show requires 9 out of 10 contestants to fail by design. Watching that veneer of confidence crumble under the burden of actual survival changes the context of the television series, as the natural question arises for anyone watching the program: how would I fare under those same conditions? And Alone answers that question. Some contestants can't stand the isolation, others get parasites, many get scared of predators, but most simply starve, which is also a testament to those who are capable of surviving in such an environment, because you see their success in light of all of those who have failed. I don't want to come across as some kind of survival expert, because I'm not. But it doesn't take a survivalist to know how ubiquitous failure is in the wilderness. After watching this show, I can attest that it has personally taught me a very valuable lesson. It wasn't how to snare a rabbit or how to construct a shelter. It was a more humbling notion that you are less capable than you think you are. Alone showed me what actual failure looks like and all of the consequences that are attached with it. It drives home the point that without being shown how easy it is to fail, the audience will never know how hard it is to succeed. So now you know.